This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalms 118:24. Hi, this is Sherry again. And this is part 2 of the series that I'm doing on anxiety, general anxiety, and panic attacks. Last video, we talked about what anxiety is and what it isn't. It is not a mental illness. It is not a lack of courage. It is a panic attack will not harm you. So those are things to remember, and that's vitally important when we're dealing with anxiety disorder. And I will be reading a lot from my notes because I did not want to miss some vital information. When I was teaching this class, it's been years ago since I've taught this class. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything with just the information that I'm providing for you. I would love for you to get on Barry McDonough's Panic Away site and to sign up for his information, because he gives you a lot more information than what I'm providing for you. What I'm providing for you is just an overview and things that I apply in my life that's helped me to improvise, adapt, and overcome, and to learn how to recognize what's going on with my body. So if you see me, reading from my notes, it's just because I did not want to forget anything or to skip over anything that's really important. So wanted to just kind of to go over what we had learned the last time, and we're actually going through some steps for a 21-second countdown. And the step 1 that we had learned was to observe. So when a panic arises, wherever you may be, simply start to observe it. Don't try to avoid or suppress your bodily sensations. That's the hardest thing to begin with to do, because we in the past fought those. We would get in there and just fight it with all of our might, and it give it more strength by us fighting it. So just observe when the panic is arising. Observe what your body is going through. The second one that we talked about the last video was embrace. Embrace and accept the experience fully. Feel all the sensations as they course through your body. Don't label the sensations as good or bad. Just feel what's going on. Feel the tingling feeling in your hands or down your spine, or the rapid heartbeat, or your breathing increases. That's something that we have to realize is don't label it. Just feel it. Embrace it. The third one that we're going to talk about today is demand more. When we feel that panic is going to run out of control, and when your confidence in your ability to observe the fear wanes, do the opposite of what you have been doing in the past. Demand more. Demand more of the unusual sensations and write them out. And then the fourth step will be to trust. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But we're going to talk about demanding more, because that's really something that is very challenging to do, and it makes you kind of feel like, oh my word, I don't think I can handle this. So let me read my notes. It says here, demand more, scream out if you have to. Now, not if you're in a public setting. You want to feel like you're in control, not out of control in a public setting. Usually when I'm dealing with my anxiety, to embrace it, I got in a place that I felt comfortable and safe. And so let your anxiety know that you're making a firm request, that you want to experience the very worst it can throw at you. The request for more is the most empowering statement you can make in the midst of a full-blown panic attack. It sends a clear and strong statement that you are calling fear's bluff. Remember, fear is a liar. You are allowing yourself to participate fully and experience it as if you're on a roller coaster, up and down and up and down. All right. If you are fully paid up and willing to participate, you're not a victim any longer. You are going to be in control of your body and your emotions. You're going to know what's going on, and you're going to feel it, and you're not going to be afraid, because fear is a liar. You're asking it to actually show you these unusual body sensations that you're going through. And then you're moving with the fear and not against it. Remember when we were talking about the last video, when we were talking about the tug of war. And the more that you tug, the more that the other team tugs, and it gives that's where they get their strength, is by you pulling and them pulling. So you're going the same direction. By moving the same direction as can be a fearful experience, but you are intentionally creating an internal conflict of tug of war. So what you're going to do is demand more places you in a new position of power. By demanding more, you're going the same direction. And now you have the power. They don't have the power anymore. There's nothing they can do when you're going the same direction. Same thing with the brain. When you are going the same direction, it's confused. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? I don't, you need to fight. You need to fight. Come on, let's fight. So you're no longer a victim. Before, we felt like a victim and always having to resist and pull back from the fear. No, fear's a liar. I'm going the same way. Bring it. So you no longer fear, and fear has no momentum to develop into a panic attack. And this way it's processed through the body and the mind in a controlled way. Here are some of the typical examples of sensations people fear and how they can process that fear. So he gave some mental examples of what they might be thinking when they're feeling anxiety. So here's one of them. I feel anxious and my heart is beating fast. Oh boy, could I relate to that. And could this be the dreaded heart attack? Well, if it is, let it be a big fat heart attack. Better be a thumping good one. So he's trying to get us to think in a different way, to get in its face. It's like, oh, is this a heart attack? Well, if this is a heart attack, give it your best. Okay. The next one, he says, I feel anxious and my heart is beating fast. No, wait a minute, I'm sorry. My throat and chest feel quite tense all of a sudden. Okay, this is not a problem. This is just muscle tension. I am perfectly safe. Go ahead and show me what it's like if my throat and chest feel even tighter. And let me tell you, that's one of the symptoms I did not like. I mean, I didn't like the heart beating really fast, but the throat and the chest, those symptoms are not fun. So then you start going, oh, wow, okay, I feel a bit dizzy. What if I faint? Well, that's fine. I'm sitting down now, so go ahead and let's faint if you have to. See, when I told you, when I was working on my anxiety, I placed myself in a safe place, sitting down, not standing up. If I could feel it coming on, if it was in a car, I would pull over, and I would not allow myself to, be out of control. So I would work through the sensations, the feelings in a safe place. One of the things that is very difficult is to demand more. Because if you're like me, you don't want more. You want to stay as far away from anxiety as you can, or especially a panic attack. And so demanding more is a request that fear cannot deliver. Let me say that again. So demanding more is a request that fear cannot deliver. What? You voluntarily move in the same direction as the sensations, and you give no momentum to the fear to create that internal tug of war. Remember, you're going the same direction. It's like throwing down the rope and saying, whatever anxiety, bring it. I'm no longer playing the game of fear. This knocks anxiety right in the head because there's no longer any fuel to drive the campaign of terror. It's amazing when you learn this technique and you really trust in it and believe in it, because you will get your life back. The chains of fear will be gone, and you will not have to deal with this in the same way that you're dealing with it now. Just remember, fear is a liar. Fear is a liar. The fuse that was dangerously close to exploding into a full-blown panic attack is now extinguished. What's more is that this action calls fear's bluff. Demanding more reveals the truth of the situation. There never really was anything to fear in the first place. It was all an illusion. The panic attack was a dud. Do we know about illusions now, especially with AI and what we see on the, whether it's on YouTube or the television or whatever? Sure, it can look real, but many times we're finding out that it's a delusion or an illusion. So it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is interesting. It can sometimes help to demand more in an aggressive manner. If you're alone, you can stomp your feet and call out the anxiety. Like I said, don't do that in public. They may think, whoa, what's wrong with this person? So the sensation of anxiety, of course, are unpleasant. Nobody's trying to pretend that they're enjoyable, because they're not. There's nothing enjoyable about the sensations. But that's exactly what they are, is sensations. Body's reaction to fear, to uncontrolled situations. So we're calling fear's bluff. Fear's a liar. There's nothing to be afraid of. Okay, but that doesn't have to stop you from fully experiencing them. In fact, you've always fully experience them, but this time you're a willing participant, conducting the experience, not suppressing it. You're stating with confidence to yourself and to your body that you are capable of experiencing the sensations and any amount of increased anxiety that may come your way, because you know the truth. There's nothing to fear. Nothing. So demand more. Fear doesn't know how to handle this request. It's completely confused by this new response and has no option but to collapse on itself and dissipate. Fear feeds off of fear. What? I'm going to say that again. Fear feeds fear. Your previous resistance was igniting the fire of panic, and the more you worried, the more fuel you tossed on the fire. Now you're learning a new approach that extinguishes the panic immediately. As fear wanes, silently say to your fear, is that the best you can do? That was one of my favorite things to do. It's like, bring it. Is that the best you can do? Come on, fear. You liar. I loved that. Invite it to come back. Stay. Have you nothing else to terrify me with? As it leaves, that it will. Wish it well, and keep the invitation open for its return, because we don't want to fight these things ever again. We want to embrace what's going on with our body. Now we're having the knowledge to know what's going on with our body. And so we don't want to fight it. We want to keep an open invitation. Remember, the anxiety is not your enemy. You need to invite the anxiety to return at any time in order to eliminate lingering thoughts of an unexpected return. Yep. When done correctly, the results of this approach are instantaneous. You might feel a rush of heat in your chest area, and you'll immediately notice that turning point as the parasympathetic nervous system, what's that? That's the brake. Okay, as that kicks in and comes into action, and it starts restoring your calm. That's what you're doing, is you're kicking in the parasympathetic system, your brakes. You're putting on the brakes. The brake pedal has been activated. It feels as if you've walked out the other side of fear with a new confidence. There was no abyss, no cliff you went tumbling off. All of it was nothing but a series of physical sensations which you were previously misinterpreting as a threat. And that is what's amazing, is when you figure out what's going on and you realize, wait a minute, it's just the body's way of dealing with unprocessed stress. We could just be nothing's going on. All of a sudden this thing just shows up out of nowhere. It's like, well, I'm not stressed. I'm not thinking of anything. I'm not in an argument with anybody. Why is this happening? It's suppressed feelings. Something could have happened 2 months ago or a year ago that you've been holding down and pressing in, and it's coming out. So you never know. You may notice the fear creeping back, like a fearful thought crossing your mind. Don't worry. This is just the winding down cycle of anxiety. Don't let it engage you. Observe it as before. Observe it as before. And look at it as if it's a cloud passing by. You know, you're addressing this in a different way now. So don't be afraid of those feelings. Observe those feelings. Let it go. Remain firm and continue to experience the sensations. Rest in the knowledge that whatever comes your way, you can handle. Excuse me. Let this be your daily mantra. I can handle any situation that life throws at me. Okay, I'm going to go further. Psalms 91:2. I will say to the Lord, you are my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And Psalms 56:3. Even when I'm afraid, I still trust you. Who do we trust? We trust the Lord. That's who is helping us understand what our body is doing. He designed the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system for reasons. If we didn't have an accelerator, if some emergency come along, we'd be like, oh, okay, life is good. There'd be no reaction. We have to have that. If a dog is chasing us, we've got to kick in that sympathetic system, the accelerator. That's a real issue that's going on that we have to address. It's not a thought. It's not something that we've suppressed. This is something that's going on. So we have to have that sympathetic system in order to function in life. And of course, the parasympathetic system, it's going to slow it down when it needs to. So that's what's so important. In the beginning, you'll probably find it hard to believe in yourself enough to demand more, because panic attack may have eroded some of your self-confidence. This takes practice and it takes time. I know you didn't want to hear that. Anything that's worth, doing, and especially this, I wanted to get rid of my general anxiety disorder and panic attacks. I didn't want to be crippled. I didn't want to be chained down for the rest of my life. And because of Barry's program, I actually have freedom. I have freedom in Christ, and I have freedom with the knowledge that he gave me to apply in my life, so I'm not crippled by anxiety and panic attacks. It's wonderful. So, practice, practice, practice. If you don't get the results straight away, keep at it. The more you use this approach, the more you will see how empowering it is. In time, you'll reach a point where you feel a panic attack arrive and genuinely welcome it with all of your mind. You'll truly understand that there's nothing to worry about. Moving with fear, not against it, eliminates the source of its power. Moving with fear, not against it, eliminates the source of its power. You may think, no way, I'm not asking for more panic sensations. Knowing my luck, that's exactly what will happen, and it'll push me over the edge, and I'll land feet first in a mental hospital. You fear that if you do, that in fact, you will fear more and more anxiety, and the request will create more problems for you. So the fourth one is to trust. Trust is where you need to know that you are safe. Trust yourself. Trust in your own body's ability to handle the situation and all of the unusual body sensations you might feel. Trust that you can process this fear and that your body will soon return to a state of calm. Remember, we put our trust in the Lord. So trust in this. Panic attacks are our own creation of tug of war that we play with ourselves. The fear is driven by overreacting and then pulling away in fear from the anxious bodily sensations. We don't like the bodily sensations, so we're playing tug of war. And trust that you can process this fear and that your body will soon return to that state of calm. So simply observing anxiety is like setting immobile on a fence. It's the stance of being neutral. But you may have noticed in the past being neutral towards anxiety often isn't enough. To really eliminate panic attacks for good, you need an additional element. You need to move. You need movement, and you need the movement that's intentional and toward the anxiety and panic attack. Demanding more is one such movement. Don't be confused by the academic jargon in the textbooks, textbook psychology to explain your anxiety disorder. What most psychologists and doctors don't explain to you is that anxiety mechanism is not complex. Yes, the issues in your life or chemicals in your body that bring about anxiety may be complex, but being able to understand and then diffuse anxiety is not a complex process. So, again, anxiety isn't logical. Look at all the fears that go through your mind. They neither have a basis in validity, nor do they follow reason or structure. Panic attacks are flat out illogical. They don't make sense. There's no threat, and yet you still fear sensations. What you need is a paradoxical solution. In this case, this means doing the opposite of what the logical mind has tried to do all along by fighting the anxiety. So remember, observe, embrace, demand more, and trust. So this is where I'm going to end it today. I'll do a third series, the next video, and we're going to do the 21-second countdown. We're going to actually go through a 21-second countdown and how to implement that. That'll be kind of fun to go through that, and then we'll go through a 7-minute exercise, a breathing exercise that we can implement. So remember, I'm going to put the information on Barry's Panic Away in the links below. Please sign up with his program. He's wonderful. He's much more detailed, and you will be able to break those chains and fears of panic. So may you be filled with the fruit of the Spirit, and may it overflow with love. And that's Galatians chapter 5, 22 through 23. Abundant blessings always.